Hello, this weekly video is for my junior classes, and I'm going to briefly go over what we are doing this week. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm really excited. We're starting a brand new module. We'll be starting Module 3, which looks at Orson Welles' War of the World broadcast, and we'll be familiarizing with things such as themes and identifying fake news. So let's go ahead and get started and see what we're doing this week. All right, so we should be looking at something like this. Now, if you go to modules and you scroll down, you will see Module 3 for the War of the Worlds. If you click the first page to this module, it goes over what the entire unit is about and what essential questions and what learning goals you will encounter throughout this process. And also, if you're wondering what some of the Common Core state standards are that you'll be learning, they're listed right here. The second page of the module is a glossary, and it's really important that you, on your own, get a chance to look at all of these new terms, definitions, and examples, because these are some complicated words here that you will encounter when we read the War of the Worlds broadcast. So just make sure that you're familiar with these, and if you scroll down way to the bottom, you'll also see some academic vocabulary. So you guys are already aware of claim, evidence, and reasoning. However, we are going to be looking closely at theme. So please look that over. Now, if you go to the next page, this is the little introduction for our first lesson of the module. And in this first lesson, we are going to identify the theme of a text. And here are the Common Core state standards that we'll be learning. And if you go to the next page, we open up with a discussion. And this discussion comes with a video. This is a long film. This is a documentary about the famous War of the Worlds broadcast. And what it does is it provides you with a little bit of a history lesson. And it gives you all the background information that you need before we start our big reading of the text. So go ahead and watch this on your own. And then after you're done watching the film, I want you to participate in this discussion and answer the following prompt. What is the message of this video? What was the public's response to Orson Welles' radio play? And do you think you would like the show? So answer all of those questions, and don't forget to respond to at least 2 of your classmates. You do that down here by clicking reply, and you should be good to go. Now, if you go to the next page, you'll see our next activity, which is a lesson. And this lesson looks at the SIF strategy for analyzing poetry. So I'll go ahead and give you this lesson right now. Let me go ahead and expand this. And so when I'm talking about the SIF strategy, we're looking at several important factors of a poem in order to make sense of its theme. And SIF stands for the following 5 words. S for speaker, I for imagery, F for figurative language, T for tone, and T for topic. Now, I'll be honest with you, with this last word down here, topic, I use it interchangeably with theme. I might ask you for a theme, or I might ask you for a topic. And it's really important that you know the difference between the two, which we'll talk about in this lesson. So S stands for speaker. Now, when we're reading poetry, it's really important that we consider who the speaker of the poem is. And it's easy to get confused. Oftentimes, we think that the poet or the writer is the speaker, but that is just not the case. The speaker is the character that is giving us the language, the character that is saying the poem. And oftentimes, poets will write from the perspective of a different type of person. All right? And it's really important to understand who the speaker is when examining poetry. The next letter, I, stands for imagery. And we look for imagery in the words that the poet uses to create a picture in our mind. Okay, what phrases appeal to your sense of taste, your sense of smell, your sense of sight? Okay, what does the what is the picture that's going on in your mind? How are they painting a picture in your mind? What do you see when you read the poem? That explains imagery. Now, F stands for figurative language, which, your English teachers have been going over figurative language with you probably for as long as you've been in an English class. When I talk about figurative language, I'm talking about all of those neat writing tricks that we use to make our language more personal and, better to connect with others with. So, is your speaker using analogies or metaphors? Are they using similes? Are they using symbolism, personification? Are they using rhyming, alliterations? What are they doing? What cool writing tricks are they using in order to contribute to the poem's overall mood and theme? Now, our first T looks at tone. Now, it's easy to get tone mixed up with mood. Okay, when we talk about a mood to a poem, we're talking about how we feel as readers, how the poem makes us feel. Do we feel happy or sad? Do we feel anxious or spooky? However, when we're talking about tone, we're actually taking the writer's feelings in mind. We're thinking about the author. And with this one, it's really difficult, but we have to get in the head of the poet in order to determine what the tone is. So, how is the speaker's emotional state? Okay, how does the speaker feel about the subject of their poem? What is their attitude towards what they're talking about? That's what we need to consider with the tone. And when we're thinking of tone, it might help to use this language right here. We can describe tone as being dramatic. Okay? If you're reading a poem from someone who's really happy and joyful, you might describe the tone as elated. If you're reading a poem that is really insulting and demeaning, you might define it as patronizing. And these are just multiple ways that we can talk about tone. Now that brings us to our last T, which is topic. And so topic is a one-word phrase that describes what the poem is about on an abstract level. So for example, a topic to a poem can be about love or racism or poverty or dreams or conformity or freedom or etc. Okay, we can look at these really abstract nouns and, attach them to our poem to get more meaning out of it. Okay, we're looking for a one-word meaning for the speech or for the poem. When we're looking at theme, though, because sometimes we'll switch this last T out. Instead of looking for topic, I'll have you look for a theme. If we're looking for a theme, we're actually looking for the moral of the story, okay? What is the main idea? What is the message that the poet is trying to convey to us? That's what I'm talking about with theme. Because topics, they're simple. They're just one-word statements. A poem can be about misery or childhood or friendship or truth. However, if we're talking about theme, we want something that we can write on a Hallmark card. Okay, so for example, our topic would be about love, but a statement about the topic, our theme would go a little more in depth. The theme would be love is the most important, but sometimes the most painful emotion. Okay, maybe we're reading a poem about knowledge. The one-word topic is knowledge. However, if we were to identify the theme, we would say something along the lines like, knowledge means nothing without action based upon what we've learned. Does that make sense? I hope so. So that's that for that slides presentation. Once you're finished reviewing the slides, you can go to the next page and you'll see your first activity. The first activity has you look at this poem, and this is a pretty challenging poem, and I wish you guys would have a chance to work through this with us in class. I'm not going to spend too much time on it right now, but what you're going to do is you're going to read The Alien by Greg Delanty, and it's just a 4-stanza poem. And what you're going to do is you're going to read the poem, and you're going to try to make sense of what he's talking about. And you're going to do so using the SIF strategy. So I can go ahead and make this big. I'll make it big for you. All right. So you'll read the poem, and then down here at the bottom, you'll tell me who the speaker of the poem is, who's talking to us, who's sharing their story. And remember, the speaker is not the poet. Okay, sometimes the poet can choose to insert themselves as the speaker or as the person giving the speech, but you have to be really careful to understand who the speaker is, because maybe the poet wants the speaker to be, someone speaking from the perspective of a child, or someone speaking from the perspective of a mother. Okay, in the next box, you're going to outline the imagery. So where in the poem does our writer, paint a picture in our mind, has us using our senses to make sense of what's going on in the time and place. So, you're looking for examples where the poet, shows you something with their words. And you can write down the example and explain it to me in this box right here. In the next box, you are going to give me examples of figurative language. So is there any symbolism that pops up in the poem? Okay, do we see any examples of metaphor where we're making comparisons with two unlike things? Do you see any personification? Any allusions? Remember, if we make an allusion to something that's old, we're making a reference to it. So for example, if I say that, my garden is in Eden, I am making a biblical allusion to the Bible. So, find an example of figurative language. Find an example of those tricks that writers use to make their writing more entertaining. Copy it, paste it, and explain it to me. And then talk about the author's tone. What is the author's attitude towards their topic? What is the author's beliefs that you can get a sense of in the poem? And remember, we're not talking about the speaker's tone. We're talking about Greg now. Okay, Greg Delanty. How does he feel about his subject? How does he feel about what's going on in this poem? Okay, what kind of mood is he trying to get you to feel? And that just leaves topic and theme. So when you're done reading the poem, tell me what its theme is. What is its message? What is the moral to the story? Okay, if you can find a one-word topic, tell me what that one-word topic is. And you'll just put it right here in the box. Now, when you're done, you can go ahead and submit this assignment in. However, if you think that this was too easy for you and you want to step it up, it's not mandatory, but you can write an analysis paragraph using the SIF strategy at the bottom of the document. And I definitely encourage you guys to do that. I also ask that when you're reading through the poem, I want you to annotate it. So if you're not quite sure how to annotate, you can click this video link right here and it will show you what you need to know. So after you submit that, you can go to the next page. And the last reading that we'll do this week is another poem with a similar theme, with a similar topic, titled Southbound on the Freeway. And for this, it's going to be exactly like the first assignment. So I'm not going to break it down for you. I just did with the last poem. But just as before, you'll read and annotate the poem. At the bottom, you'll tell me the speaker, the imagery, the figurative language, the tone, and the topic. And if you want, you don't have to, you will write me a short analysis of the poem. Tell me what's going on. All right, and that's pretty much all we're doing this week. So if you have any questions, you know how to reach me. I'm also giving you guys plenty of time this week to improve and revise your special interest blogs. You guys need to, a lot of us need to get started on that. When quarter 2 starts this coming week, I expect everyone to have a blog up and running, and I expect to see at least 3 blog posts on your blog. Make sure you're updating it every week. Make sure you're updating it consistently, and make sure you're producing something that's interesting and entertaining for your readers. So again, if you have any questions regarding that, reach out to me and I'd be happy to help you. So that's about it. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I'll see you in our Zoom classes. Bye.